Every sermon should have a point. I've heard some that I've kind of wondered. I may have preached some that others kind of wondered. But it's an undeniable fact that every sermon should have a point. This is true of what could easily be argued as the most famous sermon of all, the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus, the master teacher, had a point when he preached it. I fear that point is not in view far too often as we read these monumental words. Some read the first sentence and it becomes a call to community action. Some read the second sentence and it becomes a funeral sermon. Others read the third sentence and it becomes a call to pacifism. On and on I could go, but we really need to know the intended point. That point is laid out in the 20th verse of chapter 5. Jesus said, "For I say to you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall not enter the kingdom of heaven." We could reword that to create this question: what righteousness must I have to enter the kingdom of heaven? Everything in this sermon is about how the righteousness of the hearer must exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees. That might have seemed like a tall order. After all, the scribes and Pharisees of the first century seemed to have the best show in town where righteousness was concerned. Well, Jesus exposed that too. In chapter 6, Jesus pointed out the show the Pharisees put on and how it was of no value. If I may make an important point on whether or not we can be righteous, which Jesus clearly implies that we may, righteousness isn't nearly so much how you look in the eyes of people around you as it is how you look in the eyes of God. You see, God is looking upon your heart, and that is where righteousness must begin.